Our next guest speaker did just what Urvi was asking for and sharing. Michael Gorton, founder of Teledoc, one of the first telemedicine platforms to be introduced to the market, is with us today. And I will introduce who will talk to him, and then William Munck will then introduce him. So my job is to only introduce William Munck, and interviewing Michael will be William Munck, managing partner of Munck, Wilson and Mandala. Bill is a member. Now this Wilson, Mandala, Munck, Wilson and Mandala have technology-focused law firm with offices in Dallas, Austin, and Marshall, Texas, and Los Angeles, California. Bill is a member of the executive committee and chairs the firm's technology and intellectual property wing. He has 3 decades, again, anybody standing here, only 2 or 3 people are excused. Experience counseling clients regarding development of a market-focused offensive and offensive and defensive intellectual property portfolios. He is one attorney who will never give up the fight for his clients. He has been listed among the prestigious Dallas 500 consecutively since 2020. He's been honored in many leadership roles by his peers in the legal community. In 2010, he was named as one of the top defenders in North Texas region by the Dallas Business Journal. He was recognized as a Texas super lawyer and a best lawyer in America in intellectual property. In 2017, he was listed as a distinguished alumni by his law school, the Morris and Dean School of Law at Hofstra University, and as a leader of one of the strongest intellectual property legal teams in Northern Texas. His reputation is you can get a hold of him 24/7, particularly in a crisis. And so we were all talking about what Jason had mentioned. There's clarity in crisis brings clarity. Now, Bill is involved with also Hunger Busters, a non-profit organization focused on providing meals for food challenge students in the Dallas ISD. Of Michael Gorton, I introduced only as a founder of Teledoc, and I introduced William Munck at length. Why? Because our friend, the accomplished William Munck, will unfold details of Michael's background to date during the chat. We are deeply honored to have both of them today with us. Please help me welcome Michael and Bill. William, did we say what you wanted us to say for you?
Yeah, I did you like a PR service.
Cool. Thank you. Welcome.
Hey, Michael. How you doing? So, right, a couple of days. So we were on the phone the other day and we were introduced to one another, and we were both saying that we knew each other's name, and you know, we're kind of old now, and I couldn't remember how we knew each other, and neither could Michael. And I went back, grabbed LinkedIn, looked around, and I was a starting service provider at StarTech, founding service provider, and you were a founding mentor.
I was, yeah.
A long time ago. So, you know, during that time, almost 30 years, I guess, right? During that 25 years, my law firm grew from 6 lawyers to 90. And I thought that we had done a bunch, but in that time we've done 14 companies.
Well, you've done a lot.
I don't know, 14 companies is a lot. 90 lawyers is like herding cats, but you know. Anyway,
Well,
so.
we both get knocked down and kicked in the teeth different ways.
Yeah, I don't.
You as a lawyer.
Yeah, we just keep fighting, you know, but that's what we get paid to do. You get to do something better. So Teledocs, what can you tell us about it? What's your inspiration?
Well, I was climbing Kilimanjaro in 2000, right around the time we were all at StarTech. And I was with a doctor friend of mine who had been a flight surgeon, which means he was talking to the astronauts in outer space. It's hard to be much farther than that at times. And he had this idea of taking that kind of telemedicine and bringing it to the general public. And he wanted to call it Cyber Medical Services. I hated that name. And fortunately, we had a really good marketing person who figured out the Teledoc name.
That's awesome. So I guess you want to move on to the next question, because they give me softballs to throw to you. So,
Okay, hit me with the hard
all right.
balls.
None of them are actually hard, so we go back to 14 companies. How do you think of them?
You guys remember that song? I think it was from the 80s. It may have been Huey Lewis, where he said, I want a new drug, one that makes me feel the way I feel. And so I changed the words. After you've built a company that changes everything, it's a drug. And you do it once, and you do it a second time, and you go, wow, how do I do this again? And, my wife says, when are you going to retire? And I go, never.
Yeah, but you probably don't feel like you actually work.
No, I don't. I haven't worked since I left the power company in the 90s.
That's the trick. I mean, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs. We work with guys in the garage to, Fortune 50 companies. And those who are actually creative, you can find at any level, but none of them really work.
Yeah, and to your question, it's 7 days a week. Or if we like the Beatles song, it's 8 days a week.
Or for entrepreneurs, yes, not for corporate,
Right.
not for corporate
I heard that
America.
question. Somebody said something about 40-hour week, and, lawyers, we're looking for the 40-hour day.
To be honest
I'm
with you,
feeling
there
it's
are no
right.
40-hour weeks.
Oh, yeah.
No 40-hour weeks, it's what it takes to get the
No,
job done.
from our perspective, Friday just means 2 more work days till Monday.
You find them, please send them our way too.
Excuse me?
You find them, send them our way too, 40-hour days.
I used to do the software thing, so I know what you're talking about. What are some of the key things that you learned as an entrepreneur?
It's much harder. My friends from corporate America who have come to me, in the beginning I would say, oh, somebody great from corporate America is coming to help us. And then later I would go, no, somebody from corporate America is coming. We have higher highs. Just about everybody in this room is an entrepreneur, right? We have higher highs and lower lows, and they happen in the same day. You can clean the toilets in the morning and negotiate the $1 million deals a few hours later. Wash your hands first, but
Otherwise, it's just rinsing. That's a good one.
We're starting a
That's a
comedy
good one.
act
They
here.
definitely are. I know what you mean, though. Today I've got an entrepreneur who's got a struggling business, and a VC contacted him and offered him, close to $50 million for a quarter of his business. So it was
Wow.
kind of a good day.
Yeah.
Then I had another guy get in trouble. So, how do you decide when it's time to move on to your next venture?
Sometimes too soon. I mean, right now, I'm the CEO of a new company called Recuro Health, and it's unbelievably all of the success that's coming at us. But at the same time, I was still building something called Back to Space. And so, you
That's
go.
the next question.
Yeah, so I went from probably 60 hours a week to 80. And it was too soon. But it's normalizing now a little bit.
So I came to our call late the other day, and you were talking about BTS.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So I think everybody would love to hear that.
There were a couple slides. Can those get pulled up? So Back to Space
I don't think you have to
is
stay in your seat if you don't want to. If you want your
Back to Space is for the last panel. So we're all looking for the how do we get that next generation of young people to start becoming technical people. For me, I was sitting in front of the television, I can give my age away right now, and I watched Neil and Buzz step on the moon. I was really young, but it changed everything. And I think about that a lot. How do we drive that same process? Go ahead. A granddaughter of the command module pilot for Apollo 14. So Apollo 14 was the mission that had the first American in space, Al Shepard. It was his lunar mission. And his command module pilot was a guy named Stuart Russo. His granddaughter called me and said, I want to build something, I want to change the way people look at space. And I said, I can't help you. I've done enough not-for-profits. And she said, well, you can do whatever you want. And I said, okay. So what I said was, let's build something fantastic. And this facility, we're going to start construction on next year. It's going to be just north of Fort Worth in Jacksboro, Texas, on about 30 acres of land, right on Lake Jacksboro. And what I'm doing right now, what the Back to Space team is doing right now, is looking for a few major corporations that want to put their name right above the door there. And so we're building augmented reality, virtual reality, a facility where all of us will do our corporate retreats. There'll be a, go to the next slide. So it's a Guinness Book of World Records map. Happens to be of the moon, but it's 26,000 square feet. I have a map behind my head in my office, and it's about 15 square feet. This is 26,000. And so this will be a place where people can go sort of explore the moon, but go to the last slide, at deck level. So there's actually going to be a stage where we'll bring in some of the best musical artists and shows in the world. And now the last slide, we'll have rooms like this where those are actually real windows. And so, you know, if you think about a computer screen, you can go up to the edge of this computer screen and all you see is the frame of it. But if you have real windows and video behind it, it feels like you're really looking out a window. And so we're going to have rooms like this where, you know, you might be orbiting Saturn, or you might be on the Starship Enterprise and the Kardashians, not Kim Kardashian, but the other ones that in the Starship are attacking. And so, or you could be sitting in a boardroom and you want to be circling Delhi or Jaipur, right? And so these rooms people will come from all over the world to see this facility. So that's Back to Space.
I think it's very cool.
Yeah. But if you like space and you want to help us, you know, we're always looking for help.
That's all the questions he gave me.
Oh, wow. Well, do you mind?
You can just keep going.
Can I talk about material a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me go back a little bit to Teledoc. So one of the things in the early days of Teledoc, Dr. Brooks and I built a model. We tested it. So this was 2002, we started Teledoc, so a couple years after. We had a great migration away from Star Trek, all of us mentors.
There was a crash.
Yeah.
We all caught the wave late.
So we started Teledoc, we built all the foundation. Dr. Brooks and I went to the Board of Medical Examiners, and so you asked something about, you know, entrepreneurs and higher highs and lower lows. So we go to the Board of Medical Examiners, and with the same passion that I'm using right now, I'm telling them, this is how we're going to change healthcare. I can't see any problems with it. You know, the doctors are going to make more money, they're going to have to get to work less hours, patients are going to get their physicians in minutes for significantly less money. And I tell them the story, and the lead member of the Board of Medical Examiners looks at me and says, Mr. Gorton, you will go to prison if you build this company. So, you know, as entrepreneurs, we're always talking about, okay, what are the challenges, you know, that we have to deal with?
Prison's bad.
Yeah. See, from the lawyer. And
Never lied to the FBI either.
okay, I'll do that one next. So it took me a long time to get Dr. Brooks up off the floor and back engaged. But you know, you can see the success story. But there's one other story that I love telling. I'm sitting in my office about 3.5 years into Teledoc, and I'm in a meeting. Ruthie, my admin, comes in and she goes, I need you up front. And I go, see, I'm kind of in a meeting. She whispers in my ear, the DEA is here. They have guns and badges. And I went, okay, I'm coming front.
Don't let them either.
Yeah. So the DEA was convinced we were using our doctors to get narcotics to patients. And we had a mechanism, no narcotics, period. We didn't let doctors write prescriptions because we didn't want narcotics accidentally going out. And so the DEA said, we are going to look through every file, every printed document, we are going to find this. And so, man, they were thorough. It was 3 months they were in our office. And I came in one morning on about month 3, and that guy, the lead DEA agent, is sitting there, and he doesn't look happy. He goes, your office now. So I take this long walk down the hall, and I know everybody's sort of checking out. I got vacation time today. I get sick. I'm going home. I don't want to be handcuffed. And so I go sit in the office, and I'm sweating, and he closes the door, he sits down, and he goes, we love Teledoc. My agents are all over the country. They get sick. How do we join? And I go, does this mean we're exonerated? He goes, yes. We found nothing. We like the way you're doing it. And so we,
You're an excellent client.
yeah.
Not getting in trouble, it's an excellent client.
I know. Thank you, counsel. I appreciate it. So anyway, so you guys all know, Teledoc at its high point was a $30 billion company. So I want a new drug. I mean, what can I do that's bigger than that? And when I look at what did Teledoc accomplish? When I left 8 years into it, we were delivering doctors to patients nationwide in under 12 minutes for $35. That was the patient side of it. On the doctor side of it, primary care doctor, so, when you find out your child is going to be a doctor, you say, hopefully not a primary care doctor, right? Because primary care doctors were working 70 hours a week, and they were making $148,000. That was the average when we were building Teledoc. And we found that doctors could come to work for us, drop their hours to 40, increase their income $100,000 to $250. And so that's called efficiency. Doesn't exist very much in healthcare. I heard Irvi say this, we've got to figure out ways to fix this. You guys are the ones that do this. And it's the innovators that are going to change this, not the traditional mainstream. How are we doing on time? I got 2 more minutes.
I think you're ahead of schedule.
2 more minutes?
Okay, all right. So fast forward, when you build a company, it's your child. So Teledoc was my child, and when I left, I found other things to do. Ask Vic. I was calling Vic all the time saying, hey, I'm building this, Vic, can you help me? Hey, I'm building that, Vic, can you help me? And so Vic calls me and says, hey, I've got a speaker slot, will you help me? So, we go back and forth.
You promised me a fireside chat, and I don't see a fire. How about you?
There's a light there.
There is a fire right out there.
I thought that's what we were going to be, but
So I wanted to do something that really changes healthcare. Last year, the person who provides healthcare for my company called me and says, oh, good news, it's only going to be 11% increase this year. Well, I've seen 17, so I know maybe that is good news. But it's not good news. I mean, what the heck? My sister-in-law, 6 months ago, found out she has stage 3 cancer, may not survive it. 8 years ago, my son got diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. He's now fine. But what's going on? Why are we getting double-digit increases in our healthcare costs? Why are we still having people get stage 4 cancer? Why are 50% of the people who find out they have heart disease find out when they're having a heart attack? What? And we have this phrase that some of us guys that were at StarTech back then, that 60 is the new 40. That's great. You know what? We're 10 years away from 100 is the new 30. And I'm not talking about 100 looking like this or the decrepit cane walker that will be if we make it to 100 now. I'm talking about what kind of 10K times was I running at 30? In 10 years, we will have the technology so that I can run them again at 100. And
I gotta hang in there.
yeah, you do.
It's gonna go 10 years.
Just make it 10 more.
I like that.
So, this is the next I want a new drug piece. I think that one of the preeminent longevity experts in the world is right here. His office is just a few miles from here. His name is Jeffrey Gladden, and Gladden and I are working on a white paper right now talking about this. When I first met Gladden, I was trying to find a way that I could befriend him, and I knew he was a runner. And so he's 68 years old, right? And I said, well, I'm training for a half marathon. Why don't we go for a run some Sunday? And he goes, okay, can you run 8 miles? And I said, yep, I can do that. And he goes, pace? So are there any runners in the room? We all know. Okay, so you guys get this, right? And I go, well, I'm 60 now, and so how about, can you do, because he's 68, right? Can you do a 9:30? And he goes, no, actually I can't. He said, 10 years ago, I was running 9:30s. Now, I'm running 6:50s. He's faster now than he was in his 50s. And I'm like, okay, what's this all about? And he brings that, 60 is the new 40. He goes, I'm 68, but every single test I do to test my age is in my 30s. So he's doing it right. He doesn't look like he's in his 30s yet, but when he goes and does his physical exam, so those of you who do your physical exam, the doctor says, oh, you're in really good health for a X-year-old, whatever you are, right? That wasn't good enough for him. He didn't want to be in good health for a 68-year-old. And so every single test he does, he's competing. If he doesn't get a result in his 30s, then it's a failure. And his patients are doing the same thing. So that's a goal for you.
Lawyer years and see what you can do.
I have a law degree.
Then there you go.
So should we tell lawyers? Okay, so we both went to law school. So I'm in criminal law class, right? And it's right before Thanksgiving. Law students have one test. It's the final exam, right? And so you're a freshman law student. You're at Thanksgiving. Everybody's completely exhausted. We don't know what our test is going to end. And our professor is this 5'1" district attorney, mean as spit, and law school really is like it is on TV. She's pointing at this person, he doesn't know the answer, she doesn't know the answer. And I read the case, so I raised my hand. It's a British maritime case. The ship sinks, there's 6 sailors on a boat, one starts getting sick. They've been lost at sea on this boat for 10 days. Do you remember the case?
I do not.
Okay, so
I do intellectual property work.
yeah, okay, so the healthy ones all get together and go, we haven't eaten in a long time, he's sick, let's finish him off.
this case now.
Okay, let's finish him off and eat him. They do. They survive. Okay, and I've read the case, so I understand the legal pieces of it. But, I raised my hand, professor goes, okay, Mr. Gorton, go ahead. And I go, I have a rhetorical question first. She goes, okay, what is it? And I said, if you'd been a lawyer, would we be talking about this? And everybody in the class just thinks that's so funny, Yeah, they ate the lawyer, big deal, right?
Nobody cares about the lawyer.
Yeah, except her. She's like, Mr. Gorton, I will kick you out of this law school if you ever do that again. So, okay, can we end on that?
Sure.
Okay.